This morning?
Yes, Brother Oswin, this morning.
I can't remember, brother.
Welcome to WatchMojo UK, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 underrated British dramas.
Whatever it is that's happened to them, my mother and father, is it serious?
Yes. Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
For this list, we'll be ranking some slices of British dramatic TV that may deserve a second look or some extra love. What shows do you think are underrated? Let us know in the comments. Number 10, The Protectors. How much action, drama and intrigue can you fit into a half-hour show?
We will know if anybody tries to follow, and the consequences will be regrettable.
Quite a bit if you're Jerry Anderson, a famous television producer who is known for his hit franchises involving marionettes such as Thunderbirds and Fireball XL5. The Protectors was one of Anderson's live-action series, a jet-setting private eye drama with a heavy emphasis on crime-solving and espionage, a la James Bond.
It is?
This latter bit was emphasised further by having American actor Robert Vaughn as one of the series' leads. Vaughn, who was himself known as super spy Napoleon Solo in the original Man from U.N.C.L.E., lent The Protectors a little star power to go along with its weekly episodic thrills and spills. Number 9, Jam. Where do we even start with Jam? This series could be classified as a number of things, from drama or experimental comedy to straight-up horror.
Take care of each other. 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 Take care of each other.
This is due primarily to how surreal, strange and downright disturbing the execution of Jam is right from the jump. The show combined an unsettling jungle/ambient soundtrack, at times resembling Aphex Twin, with a visual style that seems to employ every camera trick in the book. Pitch black sketches involving deceased pets, self-destruction and deviant sex are combined with foreboding narration, herky-jerky body movements and random negative image photography to create a viewing experience that's unforgettable, although it's certainly not for everyone.
He just didn't get up anymore.
Number 8, Intruders.
It's late. May I see some identification?
The premise behind 2014's Intruders is so interesting that it's sort of surprising that this BBC Two collaboration with BBC America didn't achieve more traction with viewers. It follows a secret society of individuals whose obsession with immortality leads to their souls being shepherded into the bodies of new, unwitting and unwilling hosts. Then the two souls inhabiting that new body must fight to see which one remains, and which one gets sent to the great hereafter.
So you came to one of the only cops you know personally because you're in some kind of trouble.
Intruders was sadly cancelled after a single season, despite featuring stars like Millie Bobby Brown and Mira Sorvino, and featuring talent from the Blair Witch Project and the X-Files on the creative team. We think this show just deserved better. Number 7, Cadfael.
I am Brother Petrus, cook to this house. It's from me that you collect your master's daily fare.
What do you get when you combine traditional detective television with religious imagery and period piece production values? You get Cadfael, a mid-90s drama series that was based upon the Cadfael Chronicles series of novels by Ellis Peters. The show is in no shortage of action, having been set during the period of anarchy during the 12th century civil war between England and Normandy, and succeeded in retaining its viewership for a solid 4 seasons. Meanwhile, Brother Cadfael himself bucked the traditional idea of a television detective with his status as a Benedictine monk.
I went to ask her certain questions, which may have a bearing upon the murder of her husband.
That is the business of the sheriff and his sergeants.
It all added up to a unique sort of drama that even found an audience overseas when episodes aired in the US, under the public television banner of Mystery. Number 6, Sapphire and Steel. Joanna Lumley should be no stranger to British television audiences, having starred in both the cult comedy Absolutely Fabulous, as well as a brief stint as co-star on 1976's The New Avengers.
Whatever it is that's happened to them, my mother and father, is it serious?
Yes.
One slightly more obscure series deserves some recognition, however, specifically Lumley's turn as the titular Sapphire in Sapphire and Steel. The series was a strange but compelling hybrid of science fiction and intellectual drama, following the elemental investigators Sapphire and Steel as they investigate breaks within the space-time continuum. There's a staginess to the presentation of Sapphire and Steel that lends the show an almost artificial quality, while Lumley and her co-star David McCallum are assisted by other anthropomorphic elements like lead and silver in solving each episode's metaphysical mysteries.
So it's there then?
Yes.
We can't seal it yet?
No, not till we brought those people back.
Number 5. Survivors. Navigating the landscape of classic television can sometimes turn up some surprisingly prescient programs.
Right, make a note. When we get back, run off more notices.
Case in point, Survivors from 1975, a drama that follows the aftermath of a global pandemic accidentally released from China and eliminating much of the world's populations. Comparisons to current events aside, Survivors was also executed strongly enough to thrive on its own for 3 seasons, thanks to the efforts of stars like Ian McCulloch, Carolyn Seymour and Lucy Fleming.
We need to know if hydroelectricity is still operating. Are the atomic power stations dangerous? Were they shut down? And how many survivors are there? Enough to be viable, or do we have to join up with the French survivors?
The series' shot-on-video aesthetic makes Survivors feel sort of like a soap opera, although its 2008 update increased production values nicely to add its own unique spin to the franchise. We think both iterations of the show are definitely worth your time. Number 4. The Professionals. The spirit of 1970s cop and gangster pictures fuels the action-packed drama of The Professionals, a Channel 3 programme that was as fiery and funky as any French Connection knockoff from the USA or Italy.
I've never set up a job like this so quickly, Freddie. Yet nevertheless, it's perfect.
The Professionals was controversial during its time for its depictions of violence, as well as the politically incorrect themes that occasionally permeated the narrative. Still, the series was a hit with viewers, perhaps due to its willingness to test those boundaries, while simultaneously boasting compelling storylines and interesting characters.
Where did they come from?
Everywhere. They came from everywhere.
The Professionals also leaned into that 70s crime vibe by showcasing its array of weaponry, gadgets, and car chases to an almost fetishistic degree, and we loved them for it. Number 3. UFO. We're back with another live-action series from Jerry Anderson, a show that may have only lasted a single season back in 1970, but whose reputation continues to live on in obscure pop culture circles.
Mr. Straker told me to tell you to meet him at Rupert Square.
Rupert Square?
This is probably due to the outlandish fashions and kitsch that thrive at the heart of Anderson's UFO. This was a series that dealt with a very dramatic premise, a full-scale alien invasion of Earth, yet did so with a cast full of macho men and mini-skirted women. The vibe is very Austin Powers, but that's not an insult, as UFO was surprisingly violent at times, and took its plot about aliens harvesting human bodies with the utmost seriousness. And truly, there was no other show quite like it. Number 2. The Prisoner. Speaking of idiosyncratic programming, was there ever a British TV show that defined the word cult quite like The Prisoner?
I suppose you're wondering what you're doing here.
It hadn't crossed my mind. What's it all about?
There's a dense, insurmountable aura of mystery behind the plot of a governmental employee whose attempt at retirement goes pear-shaped in a most surreal way. Patrick McGowan's character is gassed in his apartment and awakens on an island full of surveillance and intimidating captors. He's not allowed to leave, yet he's determined to figure out why his new prison is full of nameless, numbered prisoners and how he can escape. The Prisoner takes this simple premise and amps it up to 11 with creepy imagery and austere performances. The show even inspired Iron Maiden to compose a musical tribute, a homage to British television at its quirky best. Number 1. The Sweeney. Simply stated, there are average crime dramas, and then there's The Sweeney.
Thanks, Jack. Saved my life.
This mid-70s series sprung from a successful TV movie titled Reagan, before eventually blossoming into one of the most dynamic programs of its era. The Sweeney arrived at a time in the late 70s when hard-boiled cops, internal corruption, and rampant crime were on the minds of television viewers, while the show itself delivered all the character studies and action craved by the same audience. This was a world where Serpico and Dirty Harry were big cinema hits, while Starsky and Hutch and Kojak were household television names.
I was never part of that.
Of what?
The robbery.
But you don't know anything about a robbery. You don't know anything about anything.
The Sweeney put their own uniquely British spin on this formula, delivering quotable dialogue and iconic performances for 4 outstanding seasons and 2 successful movies.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo UK and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.